Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast, This Week in America. It's being called engaging, intriguing, captivating. High praise for The Lighter Side of Darkness by Troy Pappy Johnson, a supernatural thriller based on actions taken by God to extinguish evil forevermore. A requiem of our faith, good versus evil, and heaven versus hell, taking readers on a journey of repentance, forgiveness, and faith, emphasizing that even after one has committed horrendous atrocities, hope may still exist for them. Troy Pappy Johnson was born and raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn, until the summer of 1977. Then he and the family moved to Montclair, New Jersey. A graduate of Howard University, briefly had to delay his education to fulfill his military obligation to the U.S. Army, proudly serving in war campaigns Desert Storm, Desert Shield. Presently a proud father of 3 daughters, a devoted husband for 21 years, a deacon at his church, and a believer of the Most High, as well as a disciple of the Holy Trinity. Troy Pappy Johnson, author of the Christian fiction The Lighter Side of Darkness, recommended by the U.S. Review. He's our guest on This Week in America. Troy, welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us.
It's great to be here, Rick.
This is such a powerful book and receiving excellent reviews. Let's start, first of all, with the inspiration for this, getting the idea to write the book, The Lighter Side of Darkness. How did this all come about?
Well, I go to church, and on a regular basis, while you're in church, you're hearing various scriptures and you're hearing pericopes by God and Jesus. And with those being said, I said to myself, they once said that the Bible was the greatest story ever told. But has anyone ever actually applied those scriptures and incorporated them in a daily setting? I mean, we do all the time on a regular basis with ourselves, but has anybody ever put it in black and white? And I said to myself, you know what? Me putting this in a situation that someone can definitely relate to would help them understand the Bible more better, because it'd be something that they can relate to on a regular basis, as opposed to the yays, the zays, the thous, and the didis.
Exactly.
So therefore, with that being said, I said, I'm going to make this an adventure to a point where someone can find themselves in the middle of that adventure while reading it and see themselves going through what these characters are actually going through. So that was my inspiration in doing so. It was basically listening to sermons every Sunday.
So once you decide to write the book, how long did it take you to actually sit down, put it all together, and write it so it's ready for publishing?
Okay, yeah, it took me actually, Rick, about 2.5 years. What I did was, because I was in the film industry as a production assistant and I worked on several Broadway shows and what have you, I was in the entertainment industry. I knew the format of a script, but I actually did not ever write one. So I decided to write a script, and the script that I wrote was actually 400 and some odd pages long. And the actual length of a script is, an official script should be no more than 128 pages.
Okay.
So what I did, I took all the meat out of the so-called script that I wrote.
Yes.
And I said to myself, now it's down to the 128 pages, but what am I going to do with all this extra meat that I took out that's really good? I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book.
Great idea, yes.
In doing so, I did the process backwards. Usually you write the book and adapt the script to the book. I wrote a script and adapt this book to the script.
So you got basically both of them done pretty much around the same time, so that worked out very nicely. With us on the program, Troy Pappy Johnson, author of the book The Lighter Side of Darkness. It's a Christian fiction supernatural thriller. Talk about in putting this together and making it so impactful, the supernatural thriller, Christian fiction, all of that. How did you come up with the whole concept to tell this story in this particular way?
Okay, well, again, I'm a Christian. Therefore, I go to church. I'm a believer of the Most High. Father God. And with that being said, I used to collect comic books as I was younger. And I have a fascination for supernatural films and things of that nature. And just a matter of incorporating all three of these entities, these ideas, I said, you know what, I'm going to give the world something that they never had. And it's from a Christian fiction based, but at the same time, it's exploring the fiction aspect of it. And let's incorporate something supernatural involved in this. And let's make this an adventure. You know, I said, I'm going to give the reader everything that the reader needs. Once they pick the book up, I don't want them to put it down because they're getting everything that they need. Now, the book goes into depth with hit on a lot of different subjects. And with that being said, again, from everyone that I've spoke to have read it, you know, they either read the book within a few days or some didn't put it down and read it the entire night. And they were committed to it. And that's what I was trying. That was my goal, to get the reader to not put it down.
Committed to the story. And the reviews that I'm reading, yes, it's one of those where it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I really need to get some sleep. It's going to be time to get up for work here soon, but I want to just get another couple of chapters out of this. The book is that good. Once you start reading, you'll be with it, and you'll read well into the night to continue the story, The Lighter Side of Darkness by Troy Pappy Johnson. Do you believe in the struggle of man morality, good versus evil, one of the topics you explore in the book?
Yes, because we find ourselves on a daily basis struggling with our own dilemmas and what have you. And if you ever heard of the enemy within myself is the enemy, and that's basically where I'm going with this. I mean, man has a daily struggle with how life is being presented, because it presents itself in such a rash, harsh way, and it does seem so unfair. And you ask yourself, why is God allowing this? Is the devil truly, is this his earth? And so what is it that we need to do, or I need to do, to make this better? But I can't, because I am so engulfed in my personal sins, and I'm trying to hide myself away from myself so no one can see what's truly going on within me. So I'm putting up a wall, a facade, so to speak. That good and versus evil concept is the man versus himself, the man versus struggle. Right? Because we all as adults know right from wrong. We were taught that as children. Know right from wrong, good versus evil. But yet we cannot seem to get past the dark side of what life has presented. And when we try to do so, it seems as though we're always pulled back. But yet there is hope. There is hope, because as long as you keep striving for the hope is going to be there. And it's just a matter of time before you break through and the light shines upon you. So don't give up, people. Do not give up.
Troy Pappy Johnson, our guest on the program, author of The Lighter Side of Darkness. You'll find it at authorreputationpress.com. Also, Troy's website, adarkmanslight.com. You'll find those on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Talk about some of the characters in the book. The characters literally jump off the page as you're reading The Lighter Side of Darkness. Give us a little background on some of the main characters.
Okay, the main character of this story is Demetrius Steele. Demetrius Steele is an ex-Marine who undergoes a situation where he finds himself in a good versus evil situation. So therefore, with that being said, you either do the right thing or you just go along with what darkness has presented. And the morality of one's character, this particular character, finds himself on the good side. And in doing so, to try to present that gospel throughout this book, he is blessed with the strength of with superhuman strength, so to speak. And his character is formed from having this strength. And therefore, his morality and his scruples and his values are therefore intact. So he's basically a soldier. He's a soldier with an attitude. And when I say a soldier with an attitude, not necessarily a bad attitude, a soldier that's looking to see justice. in peace.
Yes.
Now, okay, uh, the other character that his nemesis is called Belial, and Belial is basically Satan.
Yes.
And Satan loves a contest, so to speak. So his goal is to destroy what the Redeemer has set out to be. With the Redeemer being, I call him the Redeemer, Demetrius the Redeemer, because there is a prophecy that has presented itself. And therefore, based on the prophecy within hell, the Redeemer will bring forth the light into the darkness and set all of the souls in hell free. So with that being said, Belial has taken upon himself to denounce this so-called prophecy and show the world that Demetrius is nothing but a mere mortal, and there's no promise within him. The Belial, again, he's witty, he's charming, he's a beautiful person, okay, on the outside. But we all know that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and deep within beauty, some poisonous plants are the prettiest plants. So therefore, Belial is not somebody you really want to be messing with. Then there's also Matthias, who is the gatekeeper. Matthias, what he does is he has the keys that locks the door to keep all the souls within hell. But at the same time, he is a very astute gentleman, very knowledgeable of life, and he's the concierge of Demetrius. Thorn, let's talk about Thorn. Thorn is his ally. Thorn is his dog, okay? And I want to say he is a Neapolitan Mastiff. He is he's a black Neapolitan Mastiff, very strong, very powerful. Actually, Thorn was the dog that when Jesus was on the cross, these Roman soldiers had a dog that was basically keeping order, keeping the people back from trying to touch the cross while they were doing what they were doing. The soldiers were doing.
Yes.
And Thorn is the dog that was actually at that site. Now, there's quite a few characters. There's 12, 13 characters in this book. I don't know how many much more do you want me to
Well, it's
give?
interesting because, as you can tell, as Troy is explaining the characters, they are really well-developed characters. Time is going by so quickly, and I knew it was going to because this is such a unique presentation, The Lighter Side of Darkness by Troy Pappy Johnson. When I'm reading the reviews, everybody wants to know, will you have more books? Everyone is waiting. What are you working on now?
Well, actually, The Lighter Side of Darkness is part of a trilogy, and it is actually the center book, okay? I've written another book, which is the prequel to that book. It's called Black Babylon, When Brooklyn Was Black. And what that story is about, it basically precedes what is actually happening with The Lighter Side of Darkness. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Very, very rural, very, very street, very, very, it takes place, let's just say it takes place in the 70s in Brooklyn, New York. Okay? And there's a third book that I'm writing right now, which is actually a nonfiction, and it's called The Zebra Project. Now, The Zebra Project is a collection of essays, views, and opinions from a multicultural perspective based on what's keeping America racially divided. And so therefore, with all the stuff that's going on now with 45 and the political scene and the hidden truths that were tucked under the rug, this book is bringing to light those truths, okay? And it's also bringing to light from a multicultural perspective on how things are now, and it all revolves around racism, unfortunately, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. And that's what that book is about.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is.
The last book that I'm going to write, part of that series of The Lighter Side of Darkness, Black Babylon, the last book that I'm looking to write is going to be actually the sequel to The Lighter Side of Darkness. And that's probably, I'm fiddling around with a couple of titles right now. And thus far, I'm going with The Break of Dawn. So
I like that.
Be looking forward for that.
Yes, and we got a couple minutes left, but I need to ask you, with the background that you've got in movies, television, that type of thing, can we expect maybe to see The Lighter Side of Darkness as a movie or a TV series?
Oh, I would love for it to be that. I have a couple of people that I do know in the industry. One of my good friends is Kevin Grievous, and Kevin Grievous did the Underworld series. Oh, he actually wrote that series. And, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be the one to get me into the door, which I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that, I know some people, and some people know some people, and hopefully one day that will happen. Of course, everyone looks at their project, their baby, would love to see it on the big screen. And that's why I wrote The Lighter Side of Darkness the way that I did, because I wanted it, when I wrote it in mind to be on the big screen or as a television series. And hopefully this dream will come true.
I hope so, because this is such a powerful book. Well done. Great message. This really needs to be made into a movie or a TV series. I'm going to take a minute or so here at the end. It's interesting what you went through. Let me ask about that. As you were writing this book, The Lighter Side of Darkness, did you learn anything about yourself as you were going through the writing process?
Well, yes, I did, Rick. And what I learned was that, once I put my mind to something, I'm committed. And I'm going to see the project through. Now, I committed myself to make this a trilogy, and it's going to happen, my friend. And basically, I also found out that God uses me to do the things that he wants me to do. And it's not that I have control over doing it. It's his plan. And it is his plan that I'm going to see through. So I invite him to utilize me as a tool. And I know where it all comes from. When I sat down and wrote The Lighter Side of Darkness, these ideas and these pictures that I had in my mind came from nowhere, man. I'm like saying to myself, where is this coming from?
Yes.
It just is amazing. It's just amazing, and for me to be able to put it down on paper and actually see it and go over it and recorrect it and go over it again and correct it and go over it again and correct it, because I was committed. And it was not my will, it was the will of God. So I know he had his hand on this, and he had a lot to do with it.
Troy Pappy Johnson, our guest, The Lighter Side of Darkness, the book. Just in conclusion, I mentioned a couple of places to get the book. Where is the best place to order the book, get information, and then order a copy of the book?
Oh, well, you can get that at the book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but also ReputationPress.com, and of course, adarkmanslight.com. Now, if you order the book from adarkmanslight.com, you'll receive a signed copy from me.
And all that information will be on our website, thisweekinamerica.us, so you can go get information on the book, order the book, and get a signed copy from Troy. Troy, it's been a pleasure having you on the program. Troy Pappy Johnson, author of The Lighter Side of Darkness. Thank you for being with us on the program. Continued success with all of the projects you've got going. Hopefully we'll stay in touch and do this again. Thank you for being with us on the show.
Sounds good, Rick. I appreciate you, my friend.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.